come from Culture Cycles. So it took us a little bit just to get things running. So I'm going to talk about how bike buses can contribute to sustainable mobility. And I just want to start firstly by just thanking a few individuals actually, one of them being Gordon Lang and Tim and Robert and the organizers as well for giving me this opportunity to come through and share with you the work we've been doing collectively with Open Streets, Pedal Power, Band, Bike for All, and also ourselves, Culture Cycles. So basically, our mandate or our core offering as Culture Cycles has been to how do we create cycling townships, because we believe that before we create even cycling cities, we should actually be doing something with townships. That's where most of our people actually reside. And so it has been quite a privilege for me to work with these individuals and these organizations to try and create the cycling cultures, obviously using different types of ways, either it being learn cycle classes or bike buses. But I'm just going to take you through a couple of things which the content includes just an overview on the bike bus concept, what that is, because actually the biggest question that I find is when we're saying join a bike bus, people are starting to think, is this like a big bike bus where we just hop in and all cycle together, or how does it work? So that has been actually the biggest question. So it's been interesting for me to get that perspective or that view from people, but also the concept bike bus has been there for a very long time, and Open Streets actually had an opportunity of driving that forward. But I'm just going to take you through the objectives, why we actually took this campaign and we ran with it from 2017, 2018, 2019. And what's happening currently with it. And then I'll just talk about a little bit about the work that we do, and I'm so actually glad to have you here to talk about the need for bike shops in townships, because that's our biggest thing right now, is to actually get a functional bicycle shop which is affordable and can offer our people good quality bicycles. And those bicycles being, some of them actually here, the Bike for All bikes, that are very, very good, that can actually our people can use, and also we have Quebec bicycles that are there out in townships as well. So without further ado, as I said, the bike bus, I had a story before I even came here. So a friend of mine, I think everybody knows, Kirsten, she actually gave me a little bit of an insight about why bike buses. So apparently they were going to do a bike ride to the first Open Streets Day, which was supposed to be in Muizenberg, and sadly it didn't happen. But the whole idea was, how about we create a group ride where we can all cycle and create some sort of a bus where everybody can hop in as we continue cycling all together. And that's how this bike bus, and actually we're going to end at a bike stop, at the bus stop. So that's where the whole idea of a bike bus actually came about. Based on her story. But this concept has been with us in Cape Town, and we have sort of explored it. And the whole idea has been, how do we create a space where new cyclists actually feel safe, and people can actually have someone that they can ride with, and from there they can be able to build a sense of community. And we have been fortunate, while I was working with Open Streets as their campaigns manager, to come together and create this platform. And so we started something which is called Bike to Work, and I actually had someone actually talking about that yesterday, and I got super excited about that. I think it was Velo Suisse or something, I'm not really sure. So we then looked at what type of campaign objectives do we want, what is it exactly that we want to address with this bike bus. And one of those things was to the mandate that we got actually from the founder at the time was, how do we encourage, especially private motorists, people who use private cars, to actually move from their private cars to using bicycles commuting to work. And trust me, that was not easy. We tried quite a bit of things to actually incentives, coffee, ride with us, and we put up posters, And someone said to me, you do know that a poster will not make anyone leave their car and jump on a bike. But I mean, it's been quite interesting to get those type of feedbacks. And also another second point was that we wanted to do this to encourage the City of Cape Town and also private sector to provide safer bicycle infrastructure. And I'm not just talking about the green road that they've slapped paint on in Cape Town, but I'm talking about proper parking facilities, showers for most people. And that has been the biggest, actually showers have been quite a big issue. Because if you say to someone, cycle with us, the first thing they ask, so where do we shower after that? And we've come to address some of those issues. I know the VNA is offering like a very minimal showering offer to people who are cycling, and there's some bicycle shops as well that have showers that actually, if you are a cyclist, you can go and shower and use their facilities. So those are some of the things that we've tried to bring across. But the third point has been to create a sense of community, and I think Gail actually touched on this a little bit. One of the biggest common thing is in Cape Town, or in my experience, nobody wants to really cycle alone. They want to have someone to cycle with. This is mostly about safety. Most people, they don't feel safe, and you find those people actually who don't feel safe, those are newbies, I call them. People who want a sense of community, who want to actually feel safe as they ride. So we provide, the whole bike bus provides that safety net, and it was exciting to see that. Lastly, we wanted to contribute towards what people like Gail, people like Robert, people like Gordon Lang, like Open Streets have done, and we wanted to be the driver of that conversation. So during our bike passes, we'll invite a keynote speaker to ride with us, and some of those people are ministers, like the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Windy, and he will actually, at the end of the ride, he will talk to people in terms of commit to something actually. But politicians being politicians, that's another subject. I'll leave it at that. I'm just going to play something quickly that actually demonstrates what really is a bike bus. This is a video that we did on our first bike bus ride. And honestly, I do not know what we were thinking. It was winter, it was raining, it was cold, it was everything. But seriously, I don't know what we were thinking. But we started this campaign at that time, and it was amazing to see how many people on each and every Friday used to come out and ride with us. And then we sort of actually extended it out further to happen every day. And I'm just going to play this, hopefully it works with you.
The Bike to Work Bike Bus is a brand new initiative that aims to reduce the amount of cars on the roads and reclaim them for cyclists. Telling us more about this event from Open Streets is Marcela Guerrera.
Tomorrow we are cycling with the new Cape Town bicycle mayor. It's an initiative to get people to cycle to work for those who are commuting from the southern suburbs to the Cape Town CBD. All people need is to bring their bicycle and all the safety gear that they normally would use, a helmet, a lock, spare tires, that type of thing. We are meeting at Palmyra Junction in cycling together to the Cape Town CBD. A lot of the detail is on the website in our
Are you cycling to work as well?
Yeah. This is unusual, man. Yeah. I think you all belong together. Yeah.
It's a little bike.
You can join to town.
Op ons Facebookblad, De Green Old House. Kaapenaars wat in die middestad werk word genooi om môreoggend deel te neem aan 'n groep fietsry veldtog. Die Open Streets beweging saam met die Trapkragvereniging en ook Kaapstad se eerste fietsry burgemeester, Lebogang Mokoena, sal môre om 7:15 'n hitsmerk bike to work byeenkoms aanbied van Claremont na die binnestad. Die geleentheid is die eerste groeprit wat op die laaste Vrydag of werksdag van elke maand gehou gaan word.
It's an opportunity to experience something new, just to challenge our assumptions. When you're in a car driving, in traffic, going very slowly, and it is such a long journey, there's no way to get perspective. The route is actually very flat, and I feel like it's difficult to know that, and then you get on a bicycle.
Made it. Woo! Well, you here?
Thanks, guys.
So that's that. All right, that's that. So that was our first bike bus, and from there, the whole bike bus idea sort of grew, and we started with the Claremont bike bus. The reason why actually we started with Claremont, we thought Claremont will be quite easier. There's quite a lot of people coming from Claremont, and it's 11 k's, approximately 11 k's from Claremont Palmyra Junction to town, and that's the most area that has bicycle lanes, as you guys have seen, but also, the way that they're designed for a commuter, for someone who's rushing to work, it doesn't necessarily work, but for someone who's just taking a ride on a Saturday, it definitely works. So you have to chop and change. Tim and Robert have experienced it, God knows how about it, and I think actually most of the people from Cape Town in this room actually know the type of infrastructure that we have, which, I don't know if there was a cyclist when it was designed or there was any comments, but we have tried to work with what we have, because we believe strongly that whether with infrastructure or not, commuter cycling has to happen anyway, and then we'll get to the infrastructure as we go. So just at the bottom over there, that was actually one of our biggest, my proudest moment actually, one of our biggest ride. We had guys coming from Guguletu, Guguletu, it's about 14 k's outside of the CBD. It's a township, and we had guys actually cycling all the way, starting a bike bus from 6 o'clock, riding to town. And those, the only thing they asked from me was, can you just make bicycles available? And I was like, okay, I'll get bicycles. And I remember that morning I actually called Robert and Janice from Pedal Power to just give me bicycles, and they made them available. And we managed to actually give bicycles to these individuals to actually ride. And some of them have bought their own bicycles, and they're still continuing riding today. So this is on the other left, right-hand side, that side. That's a bike bus actually coming from Bloberg, and these guys cycle every day. It's like every day they're on a bike. And that's the biggest group actually we have coming from Bloberg into the CBD. So I thought I should just give you maybe an idea of the type of route that the Claremont bike bus would take. And as I said, that's 11 k's, and there are some parts which are really dangerous. There's a stretch there from between Rondebosch and Mowbray that is really isolated, and there's quite a lot of fast cars coming through to connecting into a major road. So it's one of those things that as cyclists we just have to be to face and be able to maneuver. And this is the route of the bike bus coming from Bloberg Strand into Cape Town. And it goes via the coast a little bit, and it uses the MyCT infrastructure that was created a couple of years back. Also, there's quite a bit of dangers there as well. Robert would know this. There's been quite a lot of mugging, and it's still quite a hot, topic. And we've been through Pedal Power trying to get the CT involved to put some law enforcement officers there, and unfortunately it has not been working into our favor. But hopefully we'll get that sorted. But this is some type of master plan type of route that I've, through with Open Streets, we've put together. We've tested these routes, bicycle routes, basically going into town. And I think from Langa to Guguletu, if you can look at the bottom there, those are quite interesting routes because the people that actually stay in those areas, they use a bus or a taxi, which costs them, a taxi going into the CBD will cost you 20 Rand. The overall journey actually will be somewhere around 50 bucks a day. And will take you, joining the N2, going to the CBD will take you probably 2 hours and something minutes. But with a bicycle from Guguletu to the CBD, it can take you approximately 45 minutes riding. And with in Langa, there's students actually that go to Pinelands, which is just close. I think it's about what, 7 Ks, if not 10, 7 Ks or 8 Ks. And they take a taxi and it takes them an hour to just go to Pinelands, whereas they can basically ride a bicycle through Epping into Pinelands, which will take them less than 15 minutes to do. So it just goes to show how key, the key of bicycles and how important they are in terms of mobility. So the whole bike bus, from bike to work, we then thought, what is the coolest way of rocking up at an Open Streets Day? Rebecca, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Open Streets concept, but this is particularly a day where we become very boss and we kind of close a street for an after or a morning of a Sunday, and we just bring collective activities, either it being cycling, any activity that benefits the community, and we close because we believe that streets are actually public spaces and are meant to be shared between us and vehicles, and that day we actually close the street and we do that. So on Open Street Days, we thought, let us bring the bike bus concept, and the biggest group that we had has been like over 80 people that have cycled in from one place, and some of them will join, as the bike bus goes, and we'll obviously send out the route detail before the time, and people will climb on and they will ride to Open Streets. But the coolest thing is that I really loved during my time at Open Streets was that I'll get to be notified when the bike bus is like 1K away, and I'll just go at the starting line and just make a big noise. The bike bus is coming and people will just lose their mind. And as it just enters, there will be like this big cheer. And what I loved about that was that it actually made those people who have, got courage to actually come on this bike and ride, it made them feel very special. And that's how we actually kept people riding. And the funny thing is that those people ended up, joining bike buses, bike to work bike buses. And that was really incredible. And so these are some of the, just the amount of people that we'll have on these rides. And quite an important part of this is the bike bus marshals. So what we had was we have a cycling team from Tsiba, which is a business school in Cape Town. And these guys are just fantastic young cyclists who are really passionate about cycling and getting people on bikes. And what they did with us was to actually, any bike bus has a leader, and we call that person a bike bus driver. And then we have a conductor, and that's the person that sits at the back, who's a sweeper. And these guys actually offered that for us, and they've been really fantastic. They have basic mechanic skills. If ever one person gets a puncture, they're able to quickly fix that immediately, and they get you back again into the group. So it's some of those things that made people to join the bike bus. Just a little bit on our contribution, towards a cycling city as Culture Cycles, and the biggest conversation that we've been having amongst ourselves is how do we take all of these learnings that we have learned from these organizations and bring them into the township that I grew up with. I was born in Langa, and then I grew up. My family moved into Khalicha, and that's where I grew up. And how do we take all of this information and get it back into our people in the townships? And noting that already there is a an unguided cycling culture in Khayelitsha already, through obviously through the donation of bicycles. But our thing has been, you have these bicycles. Firstly, it's how do we ensure that the people that get the bicycles, they know how to use them properly. They know how to maintain them. There's safety in there as well. They know how to ride, especially if those are kids. But you currently have a situation now where we have females that are quite keen to ride bicycles, which is, in the black community or in the Xhosa community, it's a taboo. It's like, what are you thinking about? Like, what are you doing on a bicycle? And it's only a transport, or a bicycle is only for males, but that is gradually changing. Now you have more female riders that are very keen on riding a bicycle. And we actually had, the privilege and honor to work with Lebogang Mokoena. Unfortunately, she's not here today. I think some of you guys might have seen her yesterday, who allowed us to extend this class of Learn to Cycle into Khayelitsha. And this is what we have been fortunate to do, is to teach these ladies how to ride. And it's been just a fantastic journey with them. We do this class every Saturday. It takes 2 hours. Some people, it has taken them 10 minutes. Without knowing how to even balance on a bike, without knowing how to even use this thing, and they've learned how to ride. And that for us has been a fantastic achievement. But also learning how to ride only, what do we do then after that? And the biggest things has been, I want my own bicycle, and I want to do social rides, or I want to actually do sports cycling. And luckily now we sort of have an ecosystem that is kind of working out, because we have 3 academies that are based in Khayelitsha. So our job is, we are not involved in sports cycling, but our job is to direct those individuals who want to learn more about sports cycling into the academies. And people such as Velokaya, such as Bonga Cycling Academy, grassroots, and then they can take them further on, leading to that. Okay, what is happening? So some of our classes, as much as they are all directed, actually most of our people that come to these classes is never guys. I don't know whether, I know that for a fact there are guys who cannot ride, but I think they're kind of ashamed or embarrassed that they can't. But predominantly it's women that actually come through to our Learn to Cycle classes. The lady over there, actually Umama Okete, there on the yellow Kaiser Chiefs t-shirt, she's actually the oldest person that I have taught how to ride. Special story, she came with 3 of her daughters. I met her once in Khayelitsha, and I gave her my contact details, and I thought, there's no way she's going to come through. And she said to me, look, I'm going to come and run on the Saturdays, and I'm going to come through and learn to ride, and I'm going to bring my daughters with me. And I said, okay, Mama, I'll see you there. And at the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, it's not going to happen. One Saturday, she rocks up with 3 of her daughters, and she's like, teach me how to ride. The main thing for her was that she wants to actually have a bicycle to commute to the shops, but also it's for health reasons. She's diabetic, and it's been so funny because we've been engaging, and she's been telling me, giving me feedback on how she's feeling, health-wise ever since she started cycling. It took a little bit of time to actually get her on the bike, because also one thing I've come to discover about teaching people how to ride is that it's not only about riding a bicycle, it's a mental state. And also there's a lot of emotions there of letting go, of letting someone else teach you something new. And it's more of a psychological battle as well. So there's quite a lot in just teaching someone how to ride. And those are some of the things that we have uncovered as well. So we run also basic mechanics classes where we just teach basic stuff, how to change a tire, which points of your bike section that you should look out for, what might come loose, how to strengthen it up, that sort of thing. And we've been very fortunate actually to start this class in Khayelitsha and work with some of the organizations that we're working with. This is quite a new program that we're working on. It's a back to school program. It's still quite of a small scale right now. We're just testing it out with Bike for All, which is an initiative between Pedal Power and Ben. luckily, Lebo last year, she donated 10 bicycles into the school, and she was expecting a little one, so she couldn't continue with the class, and we sort of came in and we taught these young students how to ride bicycles. And the whole idea there was we want to train them how to ride a bike, how to fix it, and also how to map up their own routes and how to do a bike pass from their own area into the school. So this video was taken on a graduation. So we do this graduation ride when everybody has learned how to ride and they've gone through all the practice or the modules that we actually teach them. So we let's see, plays. And this is them riding out on the street, and it's just such an amazing, feeling. People looking at them, that interest of other people standing outside wanting to know what is this, can we join? And that's like our biggest marketing, or getting people in to join us. And we have received quite a number of, requests in terms of how do I even get my own child to come through and learn or ride with you guys. So now we're sitting with a good problem of young people, older people wanting, some can learn, some can ride, some can't. And we're just trying to find ways on how to actually, facilitate that and create a very good group of cyclists. So this is just actually one on our graduation ride, Tembelisa High School. And the lady on the blue shirt, it was fantastic because that's the teacher. That's the teacher of the students. And she just told herself that she's going to do this journey with her students and she's going to learn how to ride. And the nice thing is that without our presence at the school, the teacher is able actually to release the bicycles for the kids to ride, to teach, others within the school. So there's a sense of responsibility there already, which is good. And it's been fantastic to actually see that. So in terms of cultivating this culture, one of the biggest things we have done is to create social bike passes. And this is really simple things, on a Saturday coffee ride. So if you know Khayelitsha, there's only one coffee shop in Khayelitsha, which is Siki's coffee shop. And most people actually will ride to that coffee shop. And we'll just do a minor 10K ride around Khayelitsha, or we'll go to another location, which is in Fuleni on the other side, and end up at Siki's coffee shop. Some of the things we've done is freedom rides, which I know Andrew Wilden has done quite a few of those. I'm excited about the Safe Cycling Awareness Ride because it's one of the things that we're going to be doing just this weekend on the 9th with Pedal Power. And this is just to actually bring the awareness that there's cyclists in Khayelitsha and we love bicycles. And the nice thing that we want to do there is to actually go to the taxi rank, not to actually put up placards and toy, but to actually, we have a different relationship with taxi minibuses in Khayelitsha, and we feel that most of them actually look out for us. As much as other people have different experiences with them, so our thing is to encourage them to keep on looking out for us on the road, and especially if you're wearing a helmet. I think I was saying this to Tim last night. If you're wearing a helmet, the taxi drivers actually respect you. They will actually give you way, and you do have one of those that will chop or cut in front of you now and again. But that's the type of message that we want to say. We want to send to them is to continue looking out for us. And one of the things we do is, which might get me in trouble actually, talking about it here, is the sip and ride experience. So we don't sit before the ride, we just ride first and then sit afterwards. And these experiences, we are dealing with a younger crowd. We're dealing with a very vibrant, a very trendy crowd. And we've been thinking, how do we mix bicycles and food experiences? And we've been fortunate to start something called Sip and Ride, where we will cycle to a wine farm, and which is actually Stellenbosch is just a couple of kilometers away from where we are as Khayelitsha. So we'll cycle to that, or we'll do a ride and then end off at a particular sport where there will be a gin and food tasting. So those are some of the things that we're actually bringing into the mix to just, make this a lifestyle and something that, continues going forward. So yeah, those are some of the things that we have done. I think my presentation ends there, but I just want to thank these guys once again, because with the work that we have done so far, it wouldn't have been possible without them. Pedal Power Band co-create. Juma Art Tours is quite a strategic partner, a very important partner of ours. We offer, through him, we are able to offer bicycle experiences, township tours, where people who want to experience a township not on a car or on a bus, they actually get on a bicycle and really get to get the feel of the people, greet the people, meet them, talk to them, and be able to move around on a bicycle. And these have become very, very popular. And that actually contributes into the economy of Khayelitsha big time. And there's two operators, actually three operators in Khayelitsha, and noting that Khayelitsha is the second biggest township in South Africa. So we've been very fortunate to work with them, Open Streets and Avalanche. Yeah, that's it from me, guys. Thank you very much.